Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa a tree of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny.
My name is Princess Gloria Kobunjo. By the grace of God, the National Coordinator and Chief Executive Officer of New Partnership for Africa's Development, now African Union Development Agency. Who are we? We're Africans. Where are we coming from? What do we have? How can we drive success in our continent? What have we been doing in the past? And what are we doing now? And what do we need to do to sustain our economy for future? Auda is African Union Development Agency, a vision of our leaders put together to foster development and economic growth in our continent. So the vision came that the leaders met themselves to say, okay, let's put a purpose vehicle that can put together our dreams, our vision, our innovations, and all that together to coordinate economic growth, development. When I mean development, economy is there, infrastructure is there, human capacity development is there, water, food sufficiency, good governance, among others. So that's actually what led to putting together NEPAD.
The New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, founded in 2001 by 5 Pan-African leaders in the Organization of African Unity, OAU, now African Union, AU, from South Africa, Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, and Senegal to promote socio-economic development and good governance within the African continent.
It's a vision that requires teamwork, requires partnership, requires a lot of innovation and collaboration. So that's why NEPAD vision is a little bit broad and it's all about governance. Governance in the sense that you need the technocrats, you need the public sector, the politicians, you need the private sector, you need the traditional council, you need the community, all come together for just one purpose, which is development and economic growth for our dear continent. The vision was adopted. The member states were asked to go and establish regional offices, of which this office, Nigerian office, is one of them. And it might interest you also that this was given birth to here in Nigeria in 2002. So the vision has been there from one democratic government to another to today under the leadership of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari.
My name is Mrs. Henrietta Jennifer Okafor. In the Department of Administration or Human Resource Department, we are in charge of human resources. We manage human beings on a generic term in the general service. Human Resource Department or Administration is one of 3 service-wide departments. You have administration, you have finance, you have PRS. First of all, the issue of appointments, recruitment, appointment and recruitment, vice versa. We are in charge of it. If anybody in the office is due for promotion, we are the one, we make sure we keep you abreast and tell you when it's going to happen. My own area does not really go outside. That is the program of admin. So it's a general program.
My name is Adefunke Adimula, Mrs. heading the Department of African Peer Review Mechanism in Auda-Nepad agency. Aprm, which the full meaning is African Peer Review Mechanism, as the name connotes. That peer is very key there. African Peer Review Mechanism is a self-assessment process used by African Union nations, member nations, to assess themselves in 4 thematic areas. 1, democracy and political governance. 2, corporate governance. 3, economic management governance. And socio-economic development management. These 4 thematic areas, if you look at it, it encompasses everything about good governance, infrastructure development, sustainable socio-economic development, the well-being of the masses, eradication of poverty, conducting free and fair election. That is one of the things African Peer Review Mechanism is trying to ensure. And this is why you see our department being involved in election monitoring, and as much as possible to discourage people from rigging and from selling their votes. We want to consider the socio-economic development, which has to do mainly with eradication of poverty, empowerment for women and the youth, development of our infrastructure. These are the things we do. And presently, African Peer Review Mechanism is carrying out the process of second peer review. We are looking at all these parameters, all these 4 thematic areas. Since the first peer review, which was carried out in 2008, where are we today? We started this process since 2019. We are still in the process.
First stage, which is the formal presentation of the country self-assessment report, and that shows that Nigeria is ready to be peer reviewed. After this stage, we will take it to the second stage, which is the expectation of the country mission, and then after which Nigeria will be peer reviewed by the member states, heads of states and government. That becomes Mr. President and his peers to discuss Nigeria, looking at where we're coming from between the time of the first peer review and now. And I most sincerely appreciate His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, who has the courage in his time to look into the affairs of Nigeria from all angles. If you look at it, you see that Nigeria on their own is not peer reviewing themselves. Starting with the Nigerian Constitution, is being peer reviewed. You look at MDAs, ministries, public-private sectors, foreign policy is being peer reviewed. So it's more or less like holistic approach.
I am Zykias Akerejala Maxwell, the director in charge of this department, Department of Programs, Development and Implementation, PDI for short. As the name suggests, we initiate programs, we facilitate implementation of programs. Basically, we have flagship programs, some of which include empowerment of women and youths, which is a major program aimed at alleviating poverty. We also run CADEP programs. That is CADEP for short, that is Comprehensive Agricultural Development Program. It's a NEPAD initiative aimed at boosting agricultural productivity to increase GDP and also improve nutrition. And talking about agric, we have a program that was initiated as a direct response to the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. A task force was set up, COVID-19 task force, to work out ways and means of mitigating the effects of the pandemic. And they came up with a white paper which was approved. Following the approval of that white paper, we initiated what is known as innovative strengthening of smallholder farmers' capabilities amidst COVID-19 in Nigeria.
It's actually the goal set by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari under his 9-point agenda, which we summarize with 3 points to drive the vision of our leader, and that is productivity, partnership, and prosperity, which led to innovative strengthening of smallholder farmers in Nigeria, an initiative of Auda-Nepad Nigeria and Auda-Nepad African Union Development Agency Continental Office, inauguration of the National Steering Committee to drive this project in Nigeria under the leadership of His Excellency Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, the Executive Governor of Kwara State.
My name is Michael Charles. I am the Director in charge of Planning, Research and Statistics Department of this agency. That I have other units and branches that make up the department. I have the research, it's headed by a deputy director. We have the library, which is a unit, is also headed by an assistant director. Then we have the ICT.
I am assistant director in charge of the e-library and the ICT units. The e-library has just been established to archive a lot of our materials for researchers. We've put it to use. We've done so many training with it during COVID-19 lockdown. Rather than having physical meeting with our focal point officers in the MDAs, we have visual meeting. And the ICT has been very, very helpful in that respect. We have learning aids, projector, and all that. The e-library is a very standard e-library and is connected to other major libraries, the national libraries, and so far we're still looking for partnership with some presidential libraries around the world, and it's connected to our website as well. The website is also being redesigned. These are most of the program we're picking up so that the new transformation going on in Nepal can manifest to the public and the whole world entirely.
It's a service department. It's one of the basic service departments, not only in this agency, but elsewhere. The resources at our disposal, they are limited. In other words, you just have to do what? To plan.
Okay, my name is Mohamed Bello Argungu. I'm the head of account of Auda-Nepad, African Union Development Agency New Partnership for African Development. My own responsibility and function as a head of account and finance is I'm the chief advisor to our CEO on all financial matters, make returns, our monthly, quarterly, and yearly returns to Accountant General and Auditor General. Another function is to defend our proposed yearly budget to the National Assembly and liaise with the Accountant General of the Federation, the Auditor General of the Federation, the National Assembly on all matters relating to our financial regulation and treasury.
My name is Madam Yabo Akinwale, the head media unit, Auda-Nepad, African Union Development Agency in Partnership for African Development. We publicize Nepad events and programs. We have gone to quite a number of places. Of recent, we covered Aprm, African Peer Review Mechanism. We also produce kits. We publish pamphlets, books, flyers, posters.
Well, my name is Mohamed Barma Adam. I head the internal audit unit of Auda-Nepad. Internal audit is not all about auditing money. We audit all the activities of all the directorates, and we report to the CEO, LCCO. In this case, she is the Chief Accounting Officer, because in any organization, the internal audit reports to the accounting officer of that organization. And from the internal audit report, the accounting officer will look at where it's lagging, behind, and which department is performing. Internal audit is all about control and compliance. Effective internal control in an organization makes the organization to have an effective internal control system, because we make sure that all government policies, government circulars, and the mandate of the agency is complied with by all the staff and the directorates. If there is any infraction, we note it in our report. We provide monthly report to the Office of the Accountant General and the Auditor General of the Federation.
This is the procurement unit of Auda-Nepad, Nigeria. Procurement. In the process of acquisition, you are acquiring goods, works, and services. These are the areas that procurement covers. And government policy is that any ministry, department, or agency of government that receives 35% from federation account must have procurement in its domain.
My name is Mrs. Ken Okorie Paulette Nkiruka. I am the head of the Servicom unit of the Auda-Nepad, Nigeria, as well as doubling up as the head of maintenance unit. Servicom, as the name implies, it means service compact with all Nigerians. It is a program set aside by the federal government to address the challenges of service failure in organizations. Our target, which is ensuring that each client gets effective and efficient service delivery, we make sure that we attain that. Maintenance issue is, it is an all-encompassing schedule I have come to embrace in this organization. We perform two key operations. First is the utility management. Then second is the general maintenance of the organization. In the area of the utility service, we carry out key operations like the management of the AEDC bills, the water bills, the environmental sanitation bills, while in the general maintenance, we ensure that all the buildings, all the fixtures and fittings, the table, the furniture, you can think of it, we ensure that those ones are properly maintained.
My name's Iyaji Francis Wekida. I'm the legal advisor NEPAD. Basically, our work here is to advise NEPAD on legal issues, representing NEPAD in court cases, and then we equally draft contract agreements. If there's any contract between NEPAD and any company or individual, we equally draft MOU. MOU is a Memorandum of Understanding, and then other instruments. Then we attend meetings representing our unit. Meetings like tenders board, parastatal tender board, where we discuss basically contracts that may be awarded to companies and some other individuals. Then we equally attend a management meeting, then advise the CEO on some issues, especially issues of law.
To start with, Enobong Emmanuel Abang. Presently, I'm SSA to the amiable CEO, Honorable Princess Gloria Akabuntu, in this agency to support the improvement, progress, and development of this agency to a higher level.
Poverty alleviation is one of the core mandates of Auda-Nepad.
We want a better life for Nigerians, or for Africans, and Nigeria in particular.
And by this innovative program, NEPAD is contributing its quota to the realization of that noble vision of Mr. President of lifting 100 million people out of unemployment.
It's an expanded mandate. In other words, there will be a lot of programs, a lot of interface with stakeholders, development partners, and etc.
For us to be able to participate collectively and individually in the development of Africa.
And so far we've passed from what the founding fathers were looking at to come to the stage where we want to build the Africa we want.
And as well, reaching out to make sure that good governance is enthroned in all the African nations.